I remember the exact second the world tilted, because it wasn't in the boardroom, or on the trading floor, or even inside the sleek glass corridors of Helix Solutions. It was at my parents' kitchen table, that battered oak relic streaked with a lifetime of coffee rings, and the ghost-white scratches of cutlery dragged in too many late-night arguments. My father's reading glasses hung at the tip of his nose like twin judgments, and the spreadsheet printout trembled between his fingers. My mother stood behind him with her arms folded tight enough to press the floral pattern of her blouse flat against her ribs. Outside, February hail battered the windows, but the chill in the room came from the two of them, Edward and Marjorie Markham, people who taught me to spell perseverance before I could spell my own name, people who had blasted the words "earn it" into every bedtime story. So that's it, Callista? Dad tapped the line item that read Q4 performance bonus times asterisk $18,750. You expect life to just drop nearly 20 grand in your lap because you answered a few phone calls? I swallowed the heat blooming under my collar. It isn't a gift, Dad. It's a commission multiplier. I closed the Risery account, 6-year contract, enterprise tier. That's north of... You closed it with help, Mom interrupted. Her voice was low, syrupy, and dangerous, the way it got before she carved apart one of my high school essays with a red pen. Everything you do is with help. The implication curled like smoke around my spine. You don't deserve it. I'd heard the phrase in whispers from jealous coworkers, in jokes from ex-boyfriends who pretended they were kidding, even in the mirrored bathroom stalls at Helix, when my own doubts found their cruelest voice. But never from her, never from them. I set my coffee down. The mug clinked too loud, and the hush that followed felt volcanic. Are you saying I shouldn't take the bonus? Dad scoffed. Take it, waste it. Use it to buy another fancy coat and convince yourself you're a rainmaker. He thrust the paper back at me as if it carried a contagion. But do not stand here and expect us to applaud mediocrity. It wasn't mediocrity. It was market-leading performance in a company that measured success by digits and decimals. But facts couldn't penetrate the fortress of their disapproval. It was built from something older. Something forged during the recession when Dad's small supply firm collapsed, and Mom picked up substitute teaching to keep the lights on. They'd clawed back, barely, and they'd raised me to see every victory as provisional, every ceiling made of thin ice. Yet I had believed, perhaps naively, that the moment I broke 6 figures I would earn their respect. The tremor in my chest said otherwise. I stood, collecting the spreadsheet with the measured calm of a surgeon ferrying a scalpel. Thank you for dinner. Mom's brow furrowed. Callista, don't be sensitive. I'm not. I was a tectonic plate shifting miles beneath an unsuspecting city. I have a train to catch. Rain hammered my coat as I stepped outside, but it couldn't match the storm inside my skull. Their words ricocheted, shredding every neon sign of my recent success. President's Circle certificate, champagne toasts at the company gala, the handshake from CEO Lyle Vaughn when he told me I had the spark of a senior vice president. All of it flickered and died in the glare of a single accusation, undeserved. My phone buzzed before I reached the station. It was a group chat from my sales pod. 7 high achievers who lived and breathed quarterly targets the way some people breathed oxygen. 7 high achievers. Guys, Q1 goal projections just dropped. 1.7 M per head. That's 30% higher. A half second later, another ping. Riley, asterisk Helix going savage. Then, Joey, asterisk either we evolve or we die. The message chain vibrated with emojis of exploding brains and rocket ships. I stared at the screen, rain slanting across the glass. In the shards of city light, my reflection looked gaunt, furious, and alive. I typed, times 1.7 M means 22% week over week if we stagger by sector. Let's talk strat tomorrow, 7 a.m. Hazel responded with a gif of a coffee IV. Riley sent a flexed bicep emoji. Joey wrote, Callista for Quarter King. I pocketed the phone. The hail intensified, pinging off signs like rifle fire. The wind smelled of bus exhaust and wet sidewalk, and I felt sudden nostalgia for warm kitchens and easy approval. But nostalgia was a thief. And tonight I couldn't afford to be robbed. Timed Helix Solutions. Sales floor, downtown Chicago, Monday, 6:58 a.m. The elevator doors slid open onto a panorama of glass partitions and digital dashboards pulsing in corporate cyan. I inhaled the sterile tang of sanitizer and ambition. This was the arena. Here, conversation was currency, and silence was surrender. Hazel already occupied a huddle room, holographic charts orbiting her tablet. Her eyes were lined with determination and caffeine. "I brought banana bread," she said as greeting. "And data." Riley strode in behind me, gym bag slung over one shoulder, hair still damp from a 5 a.m. swim. "Morning, sharks." Joey followed with two more from the pod, Priya and Lucas. We formed a semicircle around Hazel's miniature projector as if it were a campfire. The numbers shimmered mid-air, 1.7 M per representative by March 31st. That threshold wasn't just high, it was Everest after an earthquake. It demanded new verticals, cross-selling modules still in beta, resurrecting dormant leads, cannibalizing our own pipeline if necessary. I rolled my shoulders. We need a singular thesis. Joey raised an eyebrow. A what? A unifying narrative we feed every prospect. We can't pitch separate dreams, we pitch one. Hazel nodded slowly. Like, integration in 60 days? Faster, I said. 30. We brand it the Helix Sprint. We promise seamless onboarding by the next billing cycle. We back it with a guarantee clause the legal team will hate, but can't refute if we structure SLAs with partial refunds instead of penalties. Lucas whistled. That's bold. Bold was oxygen. Bold was the only path to numbers that didn't care about parental validation. I saw my dad's disappointed frown superimposed over the shimmering revenue charts. I outlined the plan. Segment mid-cap firms stuck between legacy CRMs and giant enterprise suites. Offer them our mid-market tier at an entry discount, then upsell integrations in Q2. Show them a door made of plain pine, then reveal it's a portal to a marble hall. By 8 a.m., the team was electrified. We dispersed to cubes, each carrying a sliver of the thesis like disciples of an unfolding prophecy. The next week blurred into a collage of ringing headsets and the staccato of keystrokes. I consumed hotel room microwave dinners, slept in novelty socks on red-eye flights, woke under fluorescent lights in client lobbies where the coffee tasted like carpet glue. My Fitbit buzzed record-breaking steps logged entirely within a 12-foot radius of my rolling carry-on. In Fort Worth, I convinced a petroleum logistics VP that Helix Sprint could unify 12 switching stations in the time it took their competitors to hold a kickoff meeting. In Manchester, England, I pivoted the same pitch to a biotech startup, with 5 employees and a dream of conquering diagnostics. Different continents, same urgency. Between flights, I scrolled social media to find my mother's latest post, a sepia photo of my parents in their garden, captioned, "Hard work is its own reward." The subtext jabbed like a hidden needle. I kept moving. At the end of week 3, numbers populated the dashboard, times $1,042,190. My name glowed at the top of the leaderboard, but the quota target loomed like a thunderhead, 1.7 M or bust. Mid-March arrived on Raven Wings. I flew to Seattle to sign Cordon Analytics, a contract worth $630,000, arranged by, if they inked before quarter close. Cordon's CEO, Deborah Leung, greeted me in a glass conference room towering over Puget Sound. She was rumored to grill vendors harder than the IRS grilled offshore accounts. I'd prepared for every objection: latency, security, integration costs, internal adoption risk. She brought up each one, methodically. My answers were precise, but her gaze remained neutral. Finally, I slid across the performance guarantees printed on embossed paper. 30 days. We co-deploy engineers for the first 10. You'll see measurable ROI by day 21, or we extend your initial term at no cost. Deborah's eyebrow notched upward. She tapped manicured nails against the wood. You're offering a free extension on your own dime? I'm offering certainty. She leaned back. The silence lasted a lifetime. Outside, sunlight broke the clouds and painted silver upon the water. She reached for a pen. Hash. I landed at O'Hare with a signed contract in my backpack and a colossal exhaustion in my bones. The quarter ended in 41 hours. My numbers sat at $1,672,190. 27 grand short. I didn't go home. I went straight to the office. The lights were dimmed. Cleaning crews whispered like phantoms. My pod corner smelled of stale granola bars and unwatered succulents. Scrolling through CRM leads, I found a prospect flagged as cold budget freeze from 5 months ago. Nellcroft Lighting. Revenue potential, $40,000. Small, but enough. I called. No answer. Sent an email. Automated reply, out of office. Clock. 11:23 p.m. I leaned back, rubbing my temples. There had to be another sliver of hope. Then it occurred. My parents' own former supplier network. Dad's connections in the Midwest manufacturing belt might still remember me from summer intern days, back when I fetched coffee and mailed invoices. A crazy idea, but desperation breeds genius or disaster. I opened LinkedIn and typed Richland Parts Company, CEO, Janice Calloway *. Dad once called her the one who never missed a golf tee time. I hit connect and added a note. Hi, Janice. Edward's daughter here. I believe Helix Sprint could streamline your inventory procurement across 3 regional depots. We can launch before April. I fired similar messages to 4 other contacts. At 12:14 a.m., Janice replied, funny timing. We're evaluating CRMs after a system crash. Call me 9 a.m. sharp. I stared at the glowing screen until the letters blurred. 9 a.m. Would leave only 4 hours in the quarter after contract execution, but if I could close fast. I exhaled, stood, and stretched. My reflection in the dark monitor looked like a soldier doomed yet defiant. I headed to the break room for caffeine. There, in the halogen gloom, I found CEO Lyle Vaughn pouring tea. He raised an eyebrow. Ms. Markham, burning the midnight biofuel? I managed a laugh. Q1N does that. He sipped. You're within striking range of top performer. Proud of your sprint initiative. Blood surged. Thank you, sir. It's changed departmental morale. He fixed me with a gentle, appraising stare. But the target is merciless. Are you ready for the aftershock if you miss by a hair? The question pierced deeper than the night air. I pictured my father's spreadsheet and my mother's folded arms. I don't intend to miss, I said. Lyle smiled, not warm, but intrigued. History favors the bold, Callista. Finish strong. He left, footsteps fading into carpet hush. I returned to my desk, heart hammering. Outside, the city's skyline pulsed with the rhythm of insomniac dreams. I imagined neon letters forming a single sentence across the rooftops. Deserve it. #. Quarter end, Friday, 8:59 a.m. Tums. Janice answered on the first ring. Her voice carried the clipped energy of someone who managed 3 warehouses and 1,000 headaches. Edward's girl, I can give you 20 minutes. Impress me. I launched into the thesis. 30-day install, multi-depot sync, analytics that cut transport costs by 12% in pilot models. She fired questions about hardware compatibility, staff training, subscription tiers. I answered each with the crisp authority of a woman who'd rehearsed contingencies in her sleep. At 19 minutes, she said, fax me a redlined contract by noon with a first-year discount and we have a deal. The word deal thudded in my chest like a gong. I'll have it in an hour. Edward would be proud, she added. I hesitated. Thank you. *** 10:02 a.m. Toms. The contract zipped to her secured fax line. *** 11:11 a.m. **A scanned signature arrived. CRM updated. Times $1,712,190. I sat frozen, staring. Top sales representative bar flashed gold beside my name. Confetti animation cascaded across the screen. My pod erupted into cheers around me. Hazel hugged my shoulders, Riley pounded the desk, Joey mimed chugging champagne, but the roar sounded distant, like applause beneath ocean waves. Dad's words echoed, "Earn it." I had against numbers, against time, against doubt. Yet one confrontation remained. I texted my parents' landline. "Dinner tonight? My treat." Mom replied via SMS in her careful punctuation. "We'd like that. 7 sharp. ##. My Uber pulled up to their suburban driveway at 6:58 p.m. The sun sank behind rows of maple trees, budding with tentative green. I could almost pretend it was any ordinary Friday, but the envelope in my bag throbbed with electric promise. Dad opened the door. He wore a cardigan that smelled faintly of sawdust from his garage workshop. "Callista, you look tired." "Quarter closed," I said. "Long week." Mom greeted me with a peck on the cheek. The scent of pot roast filled the hallway. Nostalgia wielding sedition. We sat at the same scarred table, steam curling from dishes like warm sighs, and for a moment I wondered if I'd misremembered the harshness of that February night. But after grace, Dad glanced at me. "Your mother tells me bonuses were dispersed today." The edge in his voice remained. I reached into my bag and withdrew the envelope. Inside was a printout of the company leaderboard, my name gleaming at the top, and the commission statement. Quarterly bonus, $24,848. Asterisk, asterisk, I slid it across. Dad lifted his glasses, inspected the sheet. Mom leaned over his shoulder. Silence. Mom whispered, "Top sales?" "I didn't just earn the bonus," I said quietly. "I led the entire division." Dad's throat bobbed. He placed the paper down, fingers tracing the digits. "That's significant." Fireworks of vindication detonated behind my eyes, but I kept my tone even. "I wanted you to see it." "Because your standards are high, and so are mine." Mom exhaled, shaky. "We pushed you hard, Callista, maybe too hard." Dad cleared his throat. "You proved us wrong." I waited for the warmth that should follow those words. Instead, I felt an earthquake gathering underfoot, plates of history grinding. The moment stretched, brittle as spun sugar. Before either parent could say more, my phone buzzed. A text from CEO Lyle, times SVP Summit Monday. "Need you in New York. Congratulations, Callista Stocksta. SVP, Senior Vice President Track." My heartbeat ricocheted. Mom saw my expression. "Everything all right?" I stood, chair legs scraping. "I have to step outside for a call." I strode onto the porch, cold air slicing my lungs. Street lights flickered on, painting the sidewalk in gold pools. I dialed Lyle. He answered instantly. "So you did it?" "Yes, sir." "Pack for 3 days. We're announcing promotions. But there's a contingency." I gripped the railing. "Contingency?" "Some board members think your numbers rely too heavily on aggressive guarantees. They want proof the model is sustainable. They'll quiz you, hard, before ratifying promotion." I swallowed. "Understood. I'll bring data." "Bring blood if you have to," he said softly. "You're the face of Helix Sprint now." A gust of wind rattled the trees. I glanced back at the kitchen window. My parents' silhouettes hovered, 2 outlines frozen in uncertainty. I ended the call. The porch boards creaked under my shifting weight. The triumph inside me mutated into something fierce, something volcanic. I stepped into the doorway and met my parents' eyes. "I'm flying to New York Sunday night. If I nail this summit, I'll be promoted. If I don't, well, you'll hear about it." Dad opened his mouth, but words faltered. Mom reached out, fingertips trembling. "Callista!" I felt the cliff edge under my heels, the vast night yawning before me. "Save it. I have 48 hours to prepare for the toughest interrogation of my career, and I won't walk in carrying doubts that aren't mine." They stood silent as I turned, descended the steps, and strode toward the Uber idling at the curb. The sky above was indigo, punctured by a single brilliant star. I whispered into the night, "I deserve this." The car door shut, sealing me inside a capsule of light and reflection. The driver asked, "Where to?" I stared at my own eyes in the rearview mirror, eyes that burned with purpose. "Downtown," I said, "and step on it." Quote. The engine growled, tires hissed on wet asphalt, and my parents' house receded into a vignette of dimming porch light. Some battles are won in boardrooms, others at kitchen tables. Mine was just beginning. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're from. If this story moves you, please subscribe. Tomorrow, I have a special story for you. Downtown lights blurred past like a reel of unspooling film as the Uber glided toward Helix's corporate tower. I sat rigid, cheeks prickling with aftershocks from the confrontation with my parents. Their lingering silence had carved a hollow inside me, but adrenaline now poured concrete into the void. 47 hours. That was the countdown to the SVP summit in New York, an arena where careers either detonated like fireworks or fizzled like damp sparklers. I wasn't merely a contender, I was the one brandishing a match near both fates. The car eased to a stop outside the lobby's marble arch. My badge granted me 24/7 access. Still, the security guard stared in surprise as I pushed through the glass at 10:17 p.m. Saturday. The building smelled different at night, ozone from air purifiers and a metallic whisper of secrecy. Elevators hummed like enormous servers cooling between data bursts. On the 32nd floor, the sales pit lay deserted except for motion sensor lights tracking my advance. Neon dashboards rested in sleep mode, but my workstation pulsed awake when it sensed my ID token, a loyal dog pricking its ears. Email notifications cascaded in, contract countersigns, internal congrats, even a giddy gif from Joey featuring exploding champagne. None mattered now. I opened a clean slide deck and wrote the title slide. The Helix Sprint Postmortem, Sustainable Growth, OR Gamble? The deck would need to disarm the board's doubts about my aggressive guarantee clause. It had 5 pillars: market appetite, churn mitigation, engineer bandwidth, legal shield, and most critical, quarter-over-quarter margin lift. The data existed, scattered across departmental silos: product telemetry, support call logs, finance audits. Retrieving it in 2 days would require help. I pinged Hazel first. Need you. NDA level. Tonight's, Tusk. She replied within 40 seconds, no questions. Nimes OMW Thee. Next, Priya in operations. Can you surface install cycle times by client size? I owe you infinite espresso. She sent a thumbs up emoji followed by times my gogst, give me an hour. I considered Riley, our technical liaison, but he'd flown to Miami for his sister's wedding. Time zones clashed, but I texted anyway. Congrats to sis. When reception ends, call me. Need server load trends. Times Traxxas time. The moon was a silver fingernail slicing the night when Hazel arrived, hoodie tangled in wind, laptop already open. We commandeered Conference Room C, a glass box overlooking the Chicago River shimmering black and mercurial. Hazel dumped a box of cold brew cans onto the table. Ground rules? Truth and velocity. I spun my laptop toward her. We need proof. Sprint conversions don't cannibalize full price tiers long term. If we can show average upsell within 90 days exceeds discount loss, we win. She cracked a can. I live to over-deliver. Within minutes, we fell into a wordless rhythm, graph lines blooming like constellations. Priya forwarded install cycle sheets annotated in surgical detail. I patched them into the deck, letting formulas dance. 1:15 a.m. Riley FaceTimed from a hotel corridor lined with pastel wallpaper and drunken relatives. His tie hung like a truce flag. You owe me double miles for this, he slurred. I smiled grimly. Server load? Check your inbox, he winked. Now I'm off to dance to Uptown Funk. The file arrived, an hour-by-hour CPU usage plot, proving Sprint deployments never spiked above 61% capacity. The data point was a bulletproof vest. By 4:03 a.m., our deck reached 57 slides. Each was an arrow aimed at skepticism. Hazel stretched, joints cracking. You still good? I answered by highlighting a chunk of text for polish. She grinned, packed up, and left me in fluorescent solitude. Birds were starting to question the horizon when I saved version 12 and rubbed grit from my eyes. Sleep, an optional luxury. My hotel in Manhattan was booked for Sunday night, but tonight I wanted the comfort of a bed and the buzz of proximity to headquarters. There was a nap room on 31. It would do. Times Sons, Sunday 9:12 a.m. Times Sums. I woke to the soft vibration of my phone. A new email flagged urgent from Benson and Company ***, Helix's external counsel. The subject line, Sprint service level guarantees. My pulse tripled. I opened it. Times legal liability exposure exceeds acceptable threshold for Q2 expansion. Board request. Present contingency fund proposal or rollback guarantee by 50%. Expect questions at summit. A rollback would gut Sprint's allure. A contingency fund would quarter our margin. Damned if you do, doomed if you don't. I needed a third path. Hazel texted, "Brunch? Found missing churn rates." I responded, "Lobby coffee 15 minutes. Bring rates." We met in the cafe downstairs. Sunlight streamed through atrium glass, crashing over caffeine-starved employees who never truly left. Hazel slid a printout across flaky croissants. Churn for Sprint adopters sat at ***, 3.1% ***, half our standard tiers rate. An exclamation sparked between my neurons. "If churn stays that low," I muttered, "we can self-insure." Hazel raised an eyebrow. "Meaning?" "Instead of a contingency fund, we create an internal reserve fed by savings from reduced churn. The board can't argue. It's actuarially sound." "Fancy math, risky optics," she sipped her coffee. "But if it works, you'll look like a visionary." Visionary or kamikaze. Either way, my course was set. Commas nay. Sunday 2:46 p.m. O'Hare Terminal 2. I breezed through TSA pre-check, clutching a carry-on stuffed with hard copies of the deck, a backup drive, and 3 lucky fountain pens. On the concourse TV, analysts debated a tech merger, unrelated to Helix, yet strangely prophetic. Will bold bets pay off, or implode? The chyron flickered like moral commentary. My gate was near empty. I slumped into a plastic chair and allowed myself 5 minutes to reread the email from Benson and Company. The words glared back, a snake coiled on digital parchment. "Callista?" I jolted. Standing before me was Mason Clark, Regional VP of Enterprise Sales, and my unspoken rival. He sported a tailored navy suit and a grin polished enough to qualify as a mirror. "Mason," I said, masking dismay. "Didn't know you were on this flight." "Last-minute invite," he replied smoothly. Board figured they could use multiple perspectives. Perspectives. Code for counter-narrative. Mason had shepherded Helix for 8 years. Knew back channels like old lullabies, and disliked how quickly a junior manager from the mid-market pod had sprinted past him. Me. We exchanged small talk about upgrade delays and in-flight Wi-Fi until the call to board interrupted. Inside the jet bridge, tension pooled like unseen fog. Time flight 382, seat 4A time. Altitude pressed mild fuzziness into my ears as Chicago shrank to quilt squares of asphalt and water. I opened the deck, but Mason's voice drifted across the aisle. "Mind if I have a peek?" he asked, nodding at my screen. "I do, actually. Confidential until tomorrow." He chuckled. "You're transparent on the leaderboard. I only wonder how long Sprint can float without dragging margins to the Mariana Trench." I smiled thinly. "You'll hear my answer soon enough." His eyes glinted predatory curiosity. We lapsed into silence for the rest of the flight. Seatbelts buckling us into separate mental battlefields. To Nagixtime LaGuardia Airport, 7:02 p.m. Eastern. Rain lashed the tarmac. I caught a yellow cab, because New York demands cliches, and watched water rivulets braid across the window. Skyscrapers stabbed the cloud ceiling like serrated knives. My hotel, the Halcyon Midtown, reeked of polished marble and wealthy desperation. At check-in, the desk clerk offered a free upgrade, quote, courtesy of Helix Solutions. I almost declined, fearing hubris, but accepted. An extra desk in the suite could stage war plans. Room 2213 presented a panoramic view of Times Square's neon frenzy. I ignored it, opened my laptop, and built 5 new slides explaining the self-insurance model. Numbers vaulted across cells, painting a future where churn savings offset guarantee exposure with a surplus of 2.7%. I saved version 19 at midnight, but doubts prowled. What if board members fixated on worst case? What if Mason had earlier access to legal's memo and planned a torpedo? Sleep came in staccato bursts. Dreams of spreadsheets morphing into ocean waves, then cracking into glass. ###. 100 du Sedalamente per com. 9 Bali, clean me dri, points mood 1 tours Monday, 6:15 a.m., Bamante per. Mezidalamente per. Navy power dress. Navy because black looked funereal, and I refused to bury myself. Low heels. Silent authority. I pinned my hair into a no-nonsense twist and slid a silver helix brooch onto the lapel. The conference venue, Aurora Tower, rose 5 blocks south. Rain had eased, leaving streets slick and reflective. Pedestrians in trench coats marched like purposeful ants. Inside Aurora's ballroom, round tables bristled with name placards and polished carafes. Spotlights painted the stage an authoritative ivory. Helix banners draped the walls, bearing the DNA Double Helix logo and the slogan ***, seamless, scalable, sure. I found my assigned table, number 3, and recognized 2 board members I'd only ever seen in bios. Dr. Evelyn Cho, bioinformatics pioneer, and Alan Spitz, retired PE shark. They greeted me with cursory nods. Mason sat at table 1, laughing with CFO Monica Tan. His teeth caught the light. ***, 9 a.m., general session. CEO Lyle took the podium, voice resonant. He praised quarterly wins, name-checked my Helix Sprint initiative, an audacious program that redefined our sales attack plan, and previewed an afternoon breakout where we'll vet next round leadership. My chest tightened. The morning dragged, presentations on AI enhancements, regulatory landscapes. I guzzled coffee yet felt dehydrated with anxiety. ###. 12:32 p.m. lunch break. I stepped into the garden terrace for air. The skyline loomed like judgment. I dialed Hazel. "You got this," she assured. "Remember, self-insurance slides follow churn data. Lead with upside." Footsteps scuffed behind me. I turned. "Mason." "Coaching session?" he teased. "I prefer peer collaboration." He leaned against the railing. "Look, Callista, I respect the hustle, but the board doesn't gamble. If they smell instability, they'll pivot back to conservative growth. Then I'll neutralize the smell." He smirked. "May the best thesis win." Thunder rolled distantly, a meteorological drumroll. ###, 2:10 p.m., leadership vetting breakout. A smaller room, U-shaped table, 15 people. At the head, board chair Margaret Feld *, a steel-haired titan whose gaze could saw marble. To her right, Lyle. To her left, CFO Monica. Mason and I occupied opposite wings. Margaret opened. "We'll review 2 growth tracks, Ms. Markham's Sprint program and Mr. Clark's Enterprise Deep Dive initiative. 30 minutes each. Ladies first." She motioned. The lights dimmed. My deck appeared on a triple screen. I rose, palms impressively dry. Slide 1, the Helix Sprint, Quarter 1 metrics. I narrated wins, adoption curves, testimonials. Slide 14, Guarantee Clause Overview. Alan's eyebrows knitted. Evelyn tapped notes. I anticipated. Advanced to Slide 15, Churn Differential. Graph plunged beautifully. Notably, I said, laser pointer steady, Sprint clients churn at only 3.1%, halving our standard attrition. The margin preserved by retention more than offsets introductory discounts. Alan interjected, voice gravel. Those numbers assume churn remains static. Economic cycles shift. I clicked, slide 17, historical churn across recessions. The Sprint curve wavered, yet stayed beneath 5%. Even stress-tested models outperform. Murmurs of interest. Time ticked. I unveiled the self-insurance scheme, slide 23. By allocating 0.9% of Sprint revenue to an internal reserve, we cover guarantee risks entirely. Projected net margin climbs by 2.7% versus rollback. Evelyn leaned forward. So you're hedging with savings from loyalty? Precisely. We convert retention into risk capital. Alan nodded slowly. Monica scribbled. Margaret raised a hand. Implementation timeline? Reserve fund activates this quarter. Dedicated GL account audited monthly. A beat of silence. The kind that could birth applause or firing squads. Margaret's mouth twitched, indiscernible. I closed. Sprint isn't a gamble. It's an engine tuned for speed and endurance. I welcome your questions. The next 10 minutes were a fusillade. What if onboarding delays spike? How many engineers per deployment? Did legal vet refund language? I parried each answer engraved from sleepless nights. Finally, Margaret said, "Thank you, Ms. Markham." I exhaled and resumed my seat. Mason's turn. Hash, hash, hash. Mason strode up with swagger. His deck glowed. Enterprise Deep Dive *. A strategy to upsell Fortune 500 clients through bespoke modules and 5-year lock-ins. Solid. Conservative. He spoke with honeyed confidence, brandishing multi-million-dollar forecasts. Yet I sensed restlessness. Board members had heard variations of this sermon for years. Then he shifted tactics. Slide 18. Risk assessment of Sprint guarantees. My lungs froze. He unveiled a table highlighting one outlier, Cordant Analytics. Their integration, he claimed, already showed cost overruns at 28% above estimate, jeopardizing margin assumptions. I clenched fists under the table. That figure was wrong. Evelyn glanced at me, then Mason. Cordant is a Sprint account? He nodded. Signed days before quarter close, overruns could multiply. Margaret turned to me. Ms. Markham, is this accurate? Heartbeat drummed. I hadn't seen final engineering hours. If Mason possessed data I lacked, my credibility teetered on a wire. I inhaled. I'll need to review the latest tickets, but initial reports showed nominal variance. 28% seems inflated. Mason shrugged theatrically. Facts are facts. Margaret's gaze chilled. We'll recess in 10 minutes. Provide us with clarification before voting at 5 p.m. Cold sweat beaded. If I couldn't debunk Mason's figure, my promotion and Sprint would be strangled. Hash, hash, hash. Asterisk, asterisk. 3:42 p.m., War Room, Aurora Tower. I paced before a borrowed laptop as Hazel patched in via Zoom, a hurricane of worry. Need Cordant deployment hours ASAP, I barked. She typed. Pulling JIRA tickets. Okay. Engineer logs show 14% over baseline, not 28. Where'd he get that? Creative accounting. Quote. Want CSV? More. I need signed approval from Cordant's project manager confirming hours. Hazel vanished into keystrokes. Minutes felt like veins tightening around bone. An email popped. Subject, Sprint hours confirmation, Deborah Leung herself. Overruns holding at 12%, within projected range, confident in 30-day target. Relief surged electric. Anger followed. Mason's lie wasn't a miscalculation. It was sabotage. I forwarded the email and the CSV to Margaret, CCing Lyle and Monica. Subject line, correction to overrun data, Cordant Analytics. Then I printed the email on Aurora letterhead, sprinted back to the breakout room with paper trembling like a captured flag. Inside, board members clustered near coffee urns. Mason chatted with Alan, mask of geniality intact. I strode to Margaret, handed the printout. Cordant confirms 12% overruns, well within risk tolerance. Mr. Clark's data is inaccurate. Her eyes scanned, jaw flexed. She nodded once. Mason's smile wilted. Hash, hash, hash. Asterisk, asterisk. 4:59 p.m. voting session. 15 board members filed into the main ballroom. Lyle observed from front row. Expression inscrutable. Mason and I stood near the podium, separated by a gulf of carpet that might as well have been years. Margaret addressed the assembly. We convened to decide trajectory and leadership appointments. She held 2 sheets. First, the Helix Sprint Program continuation with self-insurance reserve, championed by Ms. Markham. Second, the Enterprise Deep Dive, championed by Mr. Clark. Ballots were distributed. Pens scraped. My pulse jittered. Margaret collected votes, tallied silently. The room felt vacuum-sealed. Finally, she looked up. In a vote of 9-6, the board approves. She paused. The silence stretched. Torturous. The continuation of Helix Sprint under Ms. Markham's leadership, with promotion to senior vice president, pending final HR formalities. Applause erupted, scattered at first, then swelling. I heard Hazel's whoop from a doorway. Lyle's face cracked into a grin. Mason stared at the carpet, hands clasped behind back. My vision blurred, years of striving condensed into this heartbeat. But Margaret raised a hand for quiet. However, given the aggressive nature of Sprint, Ms. Markham will submit monthly risk audits directly to the board. We expect transparency. I nodded, voice steady. Understood, thank you. The meeting adjourned. People dispersed like seed pods caught by wind. Monica approached, handshake firm. Well played. Mason vanished before I could confront him. Maybe cowardice? Maybe strategy. Hash, hash, hash. Asterisk, asterisk. 7:20 p.m. Hotel suite. I collapsed on the sofa, shoes kicked off, city lights winking conspiracies. A bottle of complimentary champagne chilled in a bucket. I ignored it. Instead, I called my parents. Dad answered. Callista? Promotion came through, I said, voice trembling. A beat. We heard. Mom must have been on speaker. I detected soft breathing. Dad continued. We misjudged you. I closed my eyes against a knot forming in my throat. Thank you. Mom's voice hushed. You earned it, truly. Wind rattled the window panes. I'll fly in next weekend, I offered. We can talk. We'd like that, Dad said. We exchanged goodnights. The line clicked off, leaving a hush that wasn't empty. It was fertile soil after fire. I finally popped the champagne. Foam spilled onto my wrist. Outside, a foghorn groaned over the Hudson like a giant turning in sleep. Hash, hash, hash. Around midnight, a knock rattled my door. I peered through the peephole. Mason. I opened partway. Something you need? His smile was thin, eyes glassy. Came to congratulate you. Consider it delivered. I began to shut the door, but his palm braced the frame. Careful, he said softly. Board giveth, board taketh. Monthly audits are a noose if numbers slip. Then I won't slip. He leaned closer. Chicago's big, but Helix is small. Watch your back. My pulse thrummed. Are you threatening me? He stepped away, hands raised. Just friendly advice. He pivoted down the hall, shoes clicking like a metronome of omen. I closed the door, locked all 3 bolts. In bed, exhaustion tussled with adrenaline. Mason's warning gnawed. The board's leash felt tight. Sprint's success, and my career, now hinged on flawless execution. But storms had taught me to dance in lightning. As I drifted toward uneasy sleep, my phone vibrated. Email from Timesonate Deborah Leung, asterisk. Looking forward to Phase 2. Let's expand next quarter. Attached, a referral list of 3 partner firms. Revenue dominoes waiting to fall. I smiled in the dark. Yet somewhere beyond the city roofs, another domino ready to topple. One I couldn't yet see. Hash hash. Tuesday, Chicago, 6:18 a.m. I touched down at O'Hare on the red-eye. body still vibrating from the Manhattan victory and Mason's midnight threat. The concourse smelled of burned espresso and floor wax. Fluorescent lights mocked sleep-deprived pupils. I ignored baggage claim. I'd traveled with nothing but a carry-on and a laptop full of fragile dreams, and marched straight for the rideshare queue. Outside, dawn bled orange across low clouds. I pulled my wool coat tight as the driver sped toward the loop, radio mumbling early stock tickers. Helix's ticker symbol, HLX, flickered across the screen up right arrow 3.25% pre-market. News of Sprint's approval had leaked overnight. NIPE history favors the bold. NIPEs. Lyle's words replayed. But boldness now carried the weight of deliverables, contracts, headcount requests, compliance reports. Every brittle plate I must spin in perfect synchrony. I felt like a magician stepping on stage to discover the rabbits had unionized. ###. Helix Solutions, HQ 7:02 a.m. The elevator doors parted to a sight that stopped me mid-stride. A banner stretched across the mezzanine balcony. Welcome home, SVP Markham, surrounded by balloon clusters in Helix cyan. Hazel, Riley, Priya, Lucas, and half the pod leaned over the railing, cheering. Someone blasted confetti that fluttered like Technicolor snow. I raised a hand in stunned greeting, heart swelling. My promotion email must have hit global inboxes at dawn. As I stepped onto the mezzanine, Joey thrust a latte into my hand. Triple shot power fuel, Madam Vice President. Senior? I corrected, but the grin on my face felt junior, childlike. Hazel wrapped me in a hug. Board minutes posted, 9-6 vote, legend. In the blur of hugs and fist bumps, I sensed another presence, a chill that pricked the back of my neck. Turning, I spotted Mason near the reception desk, arms folded, lips curled into a polite half-smile. He dipped his head in mock salute, then disappeared into an elevator descending to the executive floor. Numbers, Nummersock sex game on. ###. Asterisk, 8:15 a.m. War Room kickoff. Lyle convened a leadership huddle in the glass box, a transparent conference cube suspended over the sales pit like a control tower. Curtains remained open. Every employee could witness our decisions silhouetted against the skyline. Attendees, myself, Lyle, CFO Monica, CTO Ewan Briggs, Legal Counsel Lana Porter, and HR Director Chantal Sykes. Mason was absent. Assigned, Lyle explained, to strategic enterprise focus. Translation, leashed, but still dangerous. Lyle's laser pointer illuminated a Gantt chart spread across a 98-inch screen. Helix Sprint Phase 2 launches in 6 weeks. Targets: double client volume, maintain sub 5% churn, fund the reserve. Monica added, the board's first audit is 45 days away. We need clean books and 0 red flags. Ewan tapped a stylus against his tablet. Engineering backlog already at 82% capacity. If we integrate twice the volume, we'll need 30 additional DevOps staff. Approved, Lyle said before Monica could protest. Callista, draft the business case. Lana, bulletproof SLAs. The meeting lasted 72 minutes, each second a brick in an escalating pyramid. When we broke, Lyle pulled me aside. Your helm, Callista. Sail us through. His eyes crinkled with a mix of faith and healthy fear. ###. Asterisk, 11:40 a.m. Pod, stand up. I gathered my sales pod in huddle room beta. The Helix Sprint V2 battle plan filled the smartboard. 6 weeks, I began. That's 42 days to onboard double the clients we signed in Q1, while cutting average deployment by 3 days. It's Everest on roller skates. Hazel quipped, so we invent crampons for roller skates. Laughter broke tension. We divided tasks. Hazel owned lead segmentation. Riley, now back from Miami, would shadow engineering to preempt bottlenecks. Priya handled client success metrics. Lucas mapped referral chains. I reserved for myself 2 duties no one else could shoulder. 1. Secure cross-departmental buy-in at every rung. 2. Keep Mason Clark from undercutting us again. ###. Twan's Wednesday, 8:07 p.m. Pras Tor. The first trimmer arrived sooner than expected. Priya burst into my office clutching a tablet. We've got a flag ticket from Nelcroft Lighting, your 40K Hail Mary account. They're seeing data latency spikes of 290 milliseconds. That's within SLA, I replied, scanning the log. True, but their CTO threatens to delay Phase 2 until it's sub 100 Ms. A stall could inflate install times, trigger board panic. Schedule an emergency call tomorrow 7 o'clock. I'll be there. She hesitated. Nelcroft reported Mason offered them a bespoke module at discounted rate to quote, compensate for sprint weaknesses. I felt blood drain from my cheeks. He's poaching my client? Seems like. I thanked her, voice a shade too calm, dismissed her, then slammed the door so hard the glass hummed. ###. Thursday, 7 a.m. crisis call. I appreciate your candor, Janice, I said into the speakerphone while pacing the conference room. Our engineers routed a firmware patch overnight. Latency is down to 92 milliseconds. Janice replied, gruff and unforgiving, all good, but Mason's offer includes 2 extra analytics dashboards, hard to ignore. I swallowed anger. Helix Sprint Phase 2 already incorporates advanced dashboards. You'd get them free after beta. She grunted, send specs in writing. Expect them by noon. Call ended. I collapsed into a chair, breathing through fists. Mason wasn't just tugging threads. He was weaving his own tapestry from mine. Riley entered, reading my posture. You okay? Mason's courting my accounts. Need ammunition. Riley produced a flash drive. Beta dashboards. You have prototypes? Crude, but functional. Engineering owes me after I brought donuts. Relief flickered. Let's sharpen them and drop a demo to Janice before lunch. ###. Du Pieball Asaman Meadow Science. Noon. Rapid demo. We live-streamed the dashboards. Predictive reorder schedules. Energy use heat maps. Anomaly alerts. Janice watched, skeptical lines smoothing into interest. That's more like it, she admitted. You keep numbers under 100 milliseconds and these bells included, we'll sign Phase 2. I promised, hung up, fist bumped Riley. But victory tasted of burnt sugar. Mason's audacity signaled a wider campaign. Watch your back. ###. Nadal Holde Wari Zamperson, Maskik Sidgers, Locker Son, Macy Plants, Margaret Feld. Subject. Margaret Feldtaka, Subject. Bardo Holde Wars. Nadal Sidgers. Nadal Son, Macy Plants Setfa. Macy Plant. Goal de Warzel Lactal, Macy Plants, weekly KPI snapshots commencing. Provide churn projections, reserve balance, engineer staffing ramp, and risk log. Regards, Margaret. Weekly audits. Strangling the leash tighter. I forwarded the email to Hazel with one line. Tida Beta War begins now. ###. Night Parents' House, 5:20 p.m. Sumsus. I kept my promise to visit, though exhaustion nested behind my eyes. Mom greeted me with banana bread. Dad wore a wary pride. Dinner proceeded cautiously, like diplomats tasting each other's cuisine. Mid-meal, Dad cleared his throat. The Tribune profiled Helix Sprint, he said. Impressive. I sipped water. Read it, thanks. Mom touched my hand. We realize you've built something extraordinary. We shouldn't have doubted. Emotions snagged in my throat. Your doubt forged my steel. Dad managed a smile. We're in your corner now. He paused. Speaking of corners, the guys at my old supplier network asked how Sprint could help their ERP mess. I blinked. You're offering leads? I believe in your product, he replied. 5 syllables that weighed a ton. I left with a handful of new prospects and a warmth I hadn't felt since childhood, but also an ache. Validation was sweet, yet it didn't erase scars. ###. Monday, 8:10 a.m., Helix Lobby. I stepped out of the elevator and nearly collided with HR Director Chantal. Callista, she whispered, eyes darting. Need you in my office, confidential. Inside, blinds closed, she handed me a sealed envelope. Anonymous internal complaint, she said, alleges unethical quota gaming in Sprint contracts. Heat flashed. From whom? Anonymous, she repeated. But details cite your personal Trello board and mention Nelcroft latency fudge. My pulse thundered. Mason. Had to be. Chantal continued. We're obligated to launch a formal investigation. For now, you may continue duties. I thanked her through gritted teeth, left, shut myself in my office, punched the air hard enough to bruise my knuckles. Unethical quota gaming, asterisk. The phrase could tarnish my name beyond repair if not disproven fast. ###. Tom and Tyne did dumps Hazel's desk. 8:45 a.m. Time and Tyne did dumps. I relayed the complaint. Hazel cursed. We document everything. Let's create an audit trail longer than the Amazon. We spent hours exporting emails, chat logs, project approval chains. Each data packet was a brick in my legal fortress. Still, the notion of guilt clung like soot. ###. Number Tuesday, engineering floor. I tracked Iwan between server racks, humming with digital heartbeats. Need proof Mason accessed latency logs and misrepresented them. Iwan adjusted thin spectacles. Audit trails show every access. I can pull IP histories. Do it. He typed furiously. Mason's credentials queried Cordon's hour logs at 13:07 Friday, 3 hours before breakout. He exported a CSV labeled scenario_B. Send that to legal, now. Lana replied within the hour. Evidence admissible. ###. Nimes Nikes, Wednesday, 4:30 p.m. Internal investigation hearing. Panel. Chantal, Lana, CFO, Monica. I sat alone opposite them, folder bulging with exculpatory data. They questioned deliverable timing, guarantee language, Nelcroft negotiation, cordoned overruns. I answered each with documentation projected on the screen. Lana concluded, evidence indicates figures were misrepresented by a third party, no wrongdoing by Ms. Markham. Monica's eyes narrowed. Third party unidentified? For now, Lana replied, though we all knew. Relief mingled with a hunger for justice. Mosque soon. Nice, nice, Friday, first weekly audit. Board members joined via holographic telepresence. Avatars perched around the glass box like ethereal judges. Slides glided by. Churn 2.9%. Latency median 88 milliseconds. Reserve fund at 0.4%. Sprint revenue after 1 week. On track. Margaret's avatar nodded. Encouraging, continue. When the feed cut, applause erupted from the sales pit below. I allowed myself 15 seconds of breath before diving back into emails. Centralate Friday, 9:58 p.m. Hazel messaged, emergency. Service desk flagged suspicious download of Sprint referral database from your credentials. My stomach flipped. I didn't download anything. Timestamp 9:12 p.m. you were presenting. Someone cloned my access. We raced to IT. Log showed remote login from an unrecognized MAC address inside headquarters Wi-Fi. CCTV footage rolled, grainy. A figure in janitor coveralls plugged a USB into my idle workstation while I was in the glass box. The footage zoomed. The profile looked familiar. Too tall for the usual night janitor. Posture too confident. The camera caught a partial face as they glanced back. Mason Clark in a blue maintenance cap. My breath iced. Saturday pre-dawn. I compiled a dossier. CCTV stills, IP logs, security badge swipes. At 5:12 a.m., I emailed it to CEO Lyle and Legal with the subject, Pre-Shisor security breach, urgent disciplinary review. Then I sat back, eyes burning, heart equal parts terror and triumph. Mason had crossed a Rubicon, perhaps he thought the river shallow, but I felt the current dragging him under. Phone buzzed. Lyle, meet me 7 o'clock sharp. ###. Times CEO office, 7 a.m. Lyle closed the door. Sunlight carved gold stripes across his mahogany desk. He reviewed the dossier in silence, then looked up, jaw rigid. I trusted Mason, he whispered, a thundercloud in his chest. His sabotage could expose us to breach liabilities. I said nothing. He exhaled long. HR and legal convene at 9. Mason's suspension imminent. You'll testify. I nodded, unexpectedly weary. After that? We fortify Sprint, he replied, without daggers at our backs. ###. Asterisk, 9:45 a.m. HR Tribunal. Mason entered composed, suit immaculate, but eyes darting. Lana presented evidence. Mason countered with claims of, quote, protective oversight, said he'd downloaded data to, quote, assess vulnerabilities. It crumbled under cross-examination when CCTV showed him disguising himself. Chantal pronounced immediate suspension pending termination review. As security escorted him out, our gazes met. He offered a smile, stripped of charm, brimming with foreboding. House of Cards, Callista. Wait till the wind changes. ###. Sunday, 10 a.m., my apartment. I sat on the sofa, wrapped in a blanket, laptop balanced on knees, drafting a company-wide memo reaffirming Sprint integrity and announcing enhanced security protocols. Hazel texted GIFs of dancing otters. Riley sent a meme, when you boot the imposter into space. I almost laughed. Almost. Because I couldn't shake Mason's final words. Houses of Cards indeed. I'd built mine from data and daring, but every empire totters. I rose, strode to the window. Chicago sprawled stoic under gray sky. Somewhere beyond the high-rises, storms brewed, economic downturns, competitor counterstrikes, human fallibility. But storms were where I thrived. Lightning forked in the distance, silent beyond double-paned glass. I pressed my palm to the cool window and whispered a promise. Bring the wind. And the city lights answered like 1,000 sequenced LEDs. No-mode challenge accepted. No-mode challenge snops. Wind sheared across the Chicago River, shaking loose the first slivers of spring pollen, as I locked my apartment door and descended into a Monday whose agenda line items looked alarmingly like war plans. Mason had been escorted out barely 48 hours earlier, yet the vacuum he left was already sucking in rumors, doubts, and opportunists thirsty for scraps of his abandoned territory. I felt none of the heady triumph one might expect after slaying a rival. Instead, something colder coursed down my spine. The knowledge that a single enemy is a gift, a target you can see. Remove him, and the battlefield scatters into 1,000 stealthier threats. And still the sprint clock ticked. 31 days until Phase 2 go live, 33 until the next board audit, and just 9 until Margaret Feld's surprise on-site visit. I could almost hear the gears grinding inside her head, tallying numbers against promises, preparing the ledger of judgment. ###. Tyson Copeland for Page Charlesing Rukibo. Papazatic Solutions, HQ 7:24 a.m. stands. The elevator doors parted onto chaos lightly disguised as celebration. Overnight, PR had pushed a press release. Asterisk. Helix Sprint surpasses $50 million arranged by in pilot quarter. Asterisk. Twitter feeds burst with congratulations. Investor forums lit with speculation. Someone in marketing thought balloons were appropriate. They floated through the mezzanine at toddler height, tangling in stray laptop cables like cheerful landmines. I weaved through them, fielding high fives and startled squeezes on the arm. Each congratulation felt like a debt added to my running tab of obligations. Nothing is heavier than expectation. Inside my glass-walled office, larger than the one I'd occupied last week, but already claustrophobic, email volcanoed. Top of the stack. Subject, urgent. Sprint compromise rumor *** from CTO Ewan. The message was characteristically terse. Greater than C attached threat intel. Underground Tech Forum claims vulnerability in Sprint's API auth. We haven't reproduced, but chatter rising. Meeting 9 o'clock with SecOps. Bring Priya. I forwarded it to Hazel, CC'd Priya, and forced myself to breathe. A rumored breach, real or fabricated, could detonate investor confidence hours after we'd spiked it. And rumor was Mason's favorite ordinance. Except, he was gone. Unless he still had allies. ****, 9 a.m., SecOps, War Room. Fluorescent lights, whiteboards scarred by hieroglyphics of packet flows, the air thick with burnt coffee. Yuan stood at the head of the oval table, knuckles on plywood, flanked by SecOps lead Fareed and two analysts whose hoodies bore ironic security conference logos. Fareed clicked a slide. Screenshots from a dark theme forum, usernames obfuscated. A post claimed Sprint's token exchange accepted partial refresh keys, technically possible only if someone had cracked an internal staging build. The thread suggested an exploit POC, proof of concept, soon. Could be smoke, Fareed said, or someone got hold of old beta code from QA. My laptop chimed, WhatsApp message from Hazel, * checked our Git logs. No exfiltration from my side, but found a fork Mason cloned 6 weeks ago. My pulse hopped. I leaned forward. If code leaked before we patched token scope, the vulnerability is real, but only in legacy modules now disabled, correct? Ewan nodded. Yes, but optics don't care. We need statement ready and silent patch path if exploit emerges. Timeline? End of day. I pinched the bridge of my nose and tasted iron. Do it. Priya meanwhile reassured Tier 1 clients. No alarms, just proactive routine hardening notice. She nodded, fingers already flying across her phone. ###, 11:37 a.m., unexpected visitor. Reception pinged. Your father is here. I blinked at the message until letters rearranged into sense. Edward Markham never dropped by unannounced. He viewed downtown parking prices as moral failure. I hurried to the lobby. He stood awkwardly between glass columns, clutching a manila folder. The same cardigan, but new urgency in his posture. Dad? Everything okay? He glanced around, as if skyscrapers might overhear. Thought I'd bring you these. He offered the folder. Supplier network contacts. 20 companies ready to modernize systems. They trust me, so they might trust you. I took the folder, throat bobbing. Thank you. He shifted, voice uneven. And I wanted to see where you fight your battles. He eyed the spiral staircases, the animated dashboards in the mezz. It's big. So are the stakes, I replied. He nodded gravely, then fished in his coat pocket. Your mother baked blueberry scones. He produced a wax paper bundle like contraband. Fuel. My eyes stung. I'll put them to use. We exchanged a brief, fierce hug. As he left, I realized battles aren't always won by swords, sometimes by unexpected scones. ###, 2 p.m. Engineering Sync Mos. Sprint Phase 2 roadmap monopolized the agenda, but every engineer fixated on the potential exploit. Fareed's team hadn't reproduced it, but root cause analysis traced the vulnerability to a deprecated branch Mason once downloaded for, quote, competitive research. Lyle authorized immediate revocation of all his credentials. It felt like sawing off a gangrenous limb. Meanwhile, capacity charts screamed. We were still 10 DevOps hires short of the 30 approved. HR churned but pipeline drained. Silicon Valley salary wars bled us. Without engineers, Phase 2 could stall. Audits be damned. I tasked Riley to pivot, tap Chicago's boot camp graduates, hire talent, then train aggression. Riley grinned. Challenge accepted. ###, 8:45 p.m. Glassbox alone. The office emptied, except for janitors. Vacuuming confetti remains. I studied the contact list Dad brought. Each company annotated with operational pain points, scrawled in his neat block letters. He'd done homework. I pictured him hunched at the kitchen table, cross-referencing spreadsheets. I began dialing. By midnight, 3 discovery calls scheduled, 2 follow-up demos, and 1 immediate trial for *Sherburne fasteners. Annual potential 250K. I emailed the update to Hazel with subject asterisk asterisk homegrown pipeline seedling number 1. Asterisk. Hash, hash, hash. Asterisk. 7 days later. Asterisk. The week blurred into a running firefight. Recruiters roped in 9 DevOps prospects. Dark web thread fizzled when SecOps preemptively published a patch guide and bounty challenge. No exploit surfaced. Investor jitters eased. Sprint KPIs ticked upward. But the moment you unclench one fist, another blow lands. Thursday, 6:14 a.m., phone buzz. Outage alert, Cordant Analytics. Their integration cluster flatlined overnight. Downtime SLA clock now ticking. I hopped an 8 o'clock flight to Seattle, Hazel in tow, laptops screaming. In the air, Ewan messaged, suspected DNS poisoning at Cordant's on-prem gateway, a local IT misconfiguration but perception pointed at us. At 11:26 a.m., we barreled into Cordant's data center, neon vests slung over coats. Deborah Leung met us with fire in her eyes. 38 minutes of downtime, she said, leading us through server aisles. We lose $100,000 per hour. We'll reimburse per sprint guarantee, I replied, hard-hammering, and triple-check implementation. Hazel isolated the poisoned DNS entry, an internal script mispointing Helix endpoints to a null route. Fix deployed, uptime restored by noon. But the financial hit and guarantee payout would feature in our weekly audit in 24 hours. Reserve fund balance, perilously low. On the flight home, Hazel dozed between coffee crashes. I pored over spreadsheets, trying to conjure dollars from dust. Only one lever remained. Accelerate new revenue before audit. Hash hash hash. Friday pre-audit frenzy. Sherburne Fasteners trial neared close. 2 other leads warmed. I needed signatures today. Dad's network to the rescue. 8:17. Call with Sherburne CFO. Closed at $180K, arranged by with expedited onboarding clause. 9:02. Video pitch to Midwest Tools Cooperative. Verbal yes pending legal review. 10:45. Negotiation with Hulberry Plastics. Dragged by procurement objections until Dad himself dialed in. I built my margins on your quality, Roger, he told their CEO. Helix Sprint will do the same for your supply chain. Deal sealed at $220K. By 1:30 p.m., fresh contracts tallied $560K ARR, enough to replenish reserve and offset Cordant penalty. I sent updated figures to Margaret minutes before audit call. Hash, hash, hash. Asterisk 3 p.m. weekly board audit. Telecast, Notch Knox. Holographic avatars flickered again across the glass box. Margaret led. Expression unreadable. I presented. Churn 2.7%. Latency, median 79 milliseconds. Reserve fund 1.4% revenue, thanks to new signings. Cordant incident disclosed with remediation proof. I braced for backlash. Alan Spitz cleared his throat. Ms. Markham, reserve dropped below threshold mid-week. Why wasn't the board alerted? Because, I replied, voice steady, it was resolved within SLA window. Our protocol states sub-24-hour variances need not trigger alerts if rectified and reserve replenished by close of week. Margaret raised an eyebrow but said nothing. The vote of confidence passed. Audit marked satisfactory. Call ended. I sagged against the glass panel, forehead cold. Hash, hash, hash. Friday night. Victory? The office erupted into spontaneous happy hour, but I slipped away to my office, turned off lights, and watched the city. My reflection merged with skyscraper silhouettes, a ghost-stalking ambition. Robson time from unknown, asterisk. Greater than congrats on patching leaks. Leaks have a way of finding new cracks. Enjoy the calm. M. Mason, his account disabled. Someone else? Either way, threat clear. War not over. Hash, hash, hash. Trice and Palm. Leak SAS reset. Hyde decided to run along the lakeshore at dawn, decompress. Mist hugged the water, seagulls complaining overhead. At mile 3, phone rang. Lyle. I assume you saw the DM, he said. Already with SecOps. We're filing injunctions, but stay alert. Meanwhile, stellar work with audits. Thank you. Pause. Margaret's on-site visit moved up, this Wednesday. I stopped running. Heart slammed for all new reasons. Understood. 5 days prep, now 3. I jogged back faster than I'd left. Hash. Monday to Tuesday. Preparations storm. We rehearsed presentations, triple-baked dashboards, staged mock interrogations. Hazel played Margaret, firing curveballs until my voice grew hoarse. Priya perfected a live client success demo. Riley coached new DevOps recruits like a drill sergeant with empathy. Night before visit, I stood alone. Silence. It settled over the balcony and the glittering skyline, thick enough to taste. An almost reverent hush after weeks of boardroom firefights, midnight code sprints, and the constant machine gun chatter of Slack. But silence, I had learned, was never empty. It was simply the space where the next battle sharpened its blade. I exhaled frost into the spring night and stepped back inside. My office lights were off, but I didn't bother flipping the switch. Glow from downtown seeped through glass walls, haloing the desk where tomorrow's to-do list already sprawled like an unruly vine. Onboard 9 DevOps hires, shepherd 3 new Midwest contracts through legal, finalize press kit for Sprint V2 launch, prepare keynote for the National Tech Summit in Boston, and, because karma demanded variety, choose color swatches for the rebranded Helix logo marketing insisted would humanize the brand. I chuckled at that. Branding was a silk ribbon on a broadsword, and Helix was at war. Thursday, 2 weeks post-promotion, 5:41 a.m. My alarm strummed an acoustic guitar riff. Optimistic, relentless, dragging me from a dream in which Mason morphed into a firewall that kept sprouting more ports. I sat up, found my phone buzzing with a notification barrage. 16 new emails, 3 calendar updates, and 1 push alert from a financial blog. Times HLX stock expected to climb on Sprint V2 hype. Good. Or terrifying. Likely both. Coffee. Running shoes. 10 minutes along the lakeshore to clear static from my synapses. Gull cries echoed over gray water. Sunrise smeared salmon pink strokes across low clouds, promising nothing and everything at once. By the time I returned, my pulse hummed at battle tempo. Nines Helix HQ 7:15 a.m. Tom's Tom. The lobby spun faster than usual. New hires clutching orientation packets, contractors hauling crates of demo hardware, a camera crew from Tech Channel prepping for an on-site segment. In the elevator mirror, I noted the darkening circles under my eyes and told them they could stay until Sprint V2 ship date. Then rent would be due. On 32, Hazel greeted me with a breakfast burrito and a grin. Media day, we hook 'em, you reel 'em. I bit into egg and salsa, scanned her tablet. Talking points scrolled. Helix Sprint democratizes enterprise velocity. Vlur Fund ensures customer peace of mind. Innovation built on empathy. I raised a brow. Empathy? Press likes warm fuzzies, she said, and your parents' redemption story is trending. Oh? That. A local business columnist had interviewed Dad about my supplier network wins. He'd described his initial doubts and subsequent pride, framing it as a generational lesson. Comments sections exploded. Investors adored a narrative arc. I tucked hair behind my ear. Let's keep personal backstory short. Focus on product. Hazel saluted. Asterisk 8 a.m. DevOps Integration Lab. Riley shepherded 9 fresh-faced coders through rows of triple monitor stations. He wore a whistle around his neck, half joke, half tool, to impose stand-up discipline. I addressed the recruits. We're on a trampoline over magma. Your code is the bounce mat. Build tight, they laughed nervously. I outlined stage gate protocols, rescue escalation paths, and the golden rule. Deploy fast, roll back faster. They scribbled notes like med students before their first cadaver. Asterisk, asterisk, 10:12 a.m., Tech Channel interview. Under hot studio lamps, I faced interviewer Celeste Harper. Sharp suit, sharper questions. Cameras rolled. Callista, Helix Sprint shattered records. Critics say guarantees are reckless. Your response? I smiled. Reckless is ignoring customer pain. We built a cushion before we leaped, and data shows we're landing on our feet. Celeste's eyebrow rose. Still, downtime payouts could balloon. That's why we invest in redundancy and proactive monitoring. We'd rather spend on prevention than penalties. She shifted tactics. Where did the idea for Sprint originate? A mental image, mom's cold voice, dad's spreadsheet. I kept my expression neutral. From listening to mid-market clients trapped between overpriced enterprise suites and underpowered startups. They asked for a quicker path. We paved it. Interview wrapped, the producer flashed thumbs up. Celeste leaned in off camera. Good luck, Tech World loves a woman who swings for the fences. I thanked her, though luck felt brittle. Preparation was granite. Asterisk, asterisk, 12:30 p.m., cafeteria strategy lunch. I sat with finance analyst Dana Liu, parsing Q2 rollover. She highlighted one column. Guarantee reserve burn rate trending upward due to Cordant payout and 2 minor incidents. At current velocity, she said, reserve hits lower threshold again by week 4 unless new revenue outpaces. A familiar knot tugged. Will outpace. Marketing budgets also overrun by 6% due to rebrand. Tell them to cannibalize less effective channels. Dana nodded, scribbled. I forked quinoa salad, hardly tasted it. Asterisk, asterisk, 2:07 p.m. Sprint V2, feature freeze meeting CTO Ewan. Teleconferenced from a hotel in Tel Aviv. Face pixelated, but tone crisp. Feature requests exceeding capacity. We must declaw scope creep. Engineers pleaded for 2 extra sprints. Product managers argued revenue upsides. I weighed edge cases like a chessboard. Freeze now. Goldmaster in 10 days. Anything not locked goes to version 2.1. Groans but consensus. The worst enemy of launch is perfect vision. Asterisk, asterisk, 5:55 p.m., the elevator incident. I left the Glassbox late, intending to review KPI dashboards at home. Elevator doors closed. Only other occupant, a tall woman, hood of her parka shadowing face. Floor 8 indicator dinged, then the lift jerked to a halt between levels. Lights flickered. I grabbed rail. The woman swore softly, in a voice I recognized. She pushed her hood back. Clara Nguyen, Mason's former executive assistant. Power glitch? I asked. She shook head, eyes darting. No manual override. She produced a phone, tapped screen. We have 3 minutes until security pings. My pulse skittered. What do you want? Clara's expression mixed guilt and desperation. Mason's suing for wrongful termination. He claims you defamed him with fabricated evidence. His lawyer plans to subpoena internal docs tomorrow. I swallowed heat. We have CCTV. He posed as janitor, stole data. He says the footage is deepfake. Rage flashed. That's absurd. Clara stepped closer. Listen, Mason's wrong. But he holds something. Private investigator found your reserve dipped to 0 for 3 hours during Cordant crisis. He'll spin it as fraud. What does he want? Settlement, public apology, and, she hesitated, your resignation. I laughed, bitter. Not happening. You need proof reserve replenished in under 4. Logs alone won't persuade a courtroom. They want narrative. I narrowed eyes. Why warn me? She bit lip. Because Mason promised me a promotion, then blamed me for his downfall. I realized the hero I backed was a villain. I studied her, a micro-expression of sincerity and exhaustion. Elevator jolted, motion resumed, floor indicator ticked to lobby. Clara handed a USB. Contains voice memos Mason recorded. Brags about forging overrun numbers. Use it, and be careful. He plays poker with nothing to lose. Doors parted. She darted away into evening crowds before I could speak. I gripped USB like a live wire. Asterisk 6:42 p.m. Glass box again. I returned upstairs. Hazel and Fareed met me. Security logs confirmed elevator override from a maintenance panel. Clara's involvement, unknown. I plugged USB into a standalone forensic laptop. Audio clips played. Mason's voice, smug, describing CSV manipulation, stage costume, plan to leak exploit rumor. Smoking gun. Legal counsel Lana patched in via video. We briefed her. She smiled grimly. Case closed before it opens. I'll file an injunction and countersuit. I leaned back, exhaustion spooling out. Hazel handed me tea. You okay? I will be. Outside, night smothered the city. My watch buzzed. 13,872 steps, 47 unread emails. Next morning, board emergency call. Margaret appeared on screen, silver hair immaculate. I outlined Mason's impending lawsuit and our evidence. She listened, steepled fingers. Proceed with legal countermeasures discreetly. Investors despise drama. Understood. She cleared throat. Separately, European Union regulators request Sprint compliance audit, GDPR, data residency, the usual labyrinth. A new blade. Timeline? 30 days. We ended call. I faced Hazel. Add EU audit to our war map, she saluted, eyes wide. Night, weekend strategy retreat. Parents' house. I accepted Dad's invitation, needing comfort and space to blueprint chaos. Mom's victory pie, blueberry crumble, steamed on counter. We convened at dinner table. I spread roadmaps among placemats. Dad listened to EU audit woes, tapping pencil. Data residency? You could deploy regional instances on partner data centers. My old friend runs one near Frankfurt. Mom, served pie, chimed, and you might highlight sustainability to EU. They love green angles. Show them Sprint reduces server load, carbon footprint. I blinked. Why hadn't our deck mentioned that? Mom, you're a genius. She laughed. About some things. Late that night, while parents slept, I drafted the EU mitigation plan using Dad's contact and Mom's eco-pitch. This family once questioned my worth. Now they fortified my flank. Middle of the draft, exhaustion hit. I brewed chamomile and opened YouTube Analytics on phone. Sprint story episodes posted by Tech Channel clocked 60,000 views. Comments debated guarantee ethics, cheered female leadership, criticized meeting room Republicans. Typical internet brew. At comment 478, a user wrote, Callista should host a vlog and teach sales grit. Idea sparked. Helix lacked human face marketing. Maybe I could front a minisode series? I typed a note. Monday, company-wide town hall. Stage lights. 400 employees. Remote teams live streaming. I strode to podium, heartbeat syncopated. Morning, Helix family. Before updates, quick exercise. Think of one client's sprint, saved from drowning in complexity. Hold that name. Hands rose. Eyes brightened. Now imagine thousands more. That's why we work weekends. Why risk looks like opportunity. Slides cascaded, EU audit plan, guarantee reserve health, Sprint V2 countdown. Halfway through, I paused. We've come far. This story took us a long time. If you like it, subscribe. Now, back to the story. Laughter erupted. Inside joke referencing our corporate YouTube, but seeds of my mini-series planted. I concluded, we are not a logo, we are a movement. Standing ovation thundered. My throat tightened. Mere others propias tration, Hafter Town Hall marketing huddle. VP of Marketing Nadia seized on vlog idea. Authenticity sells. We stage weekly 5-minute clips. Sprint stories with Callista. Asterisk. I agreed. One more plate to spin, but powerful. Midweek GDPR gauntlet begins. A delegation of EU auditors arrived, stern, trilingual, smelling faintly of rain and bureaucracy. We escorted them through data centers, compliance binders, encryption key rooms. They raised eyebrows at reserve fund structure. We produced actuarial tables. They asked about eco-impact, mom's footprint metric dazzled. 4-day review ended with preliminary nods. Night Prizzo Friday. Legal showdown. Mason's lawyer filed suit. Lana filed countersuit within the hour, attaching audio evidence. Judge granted temporary restraining order, prohibiting Mason from public statements about Helix. News outlets reported it tersely. Stock held steady. Sprint V2 launch day, T0. 6 a.m. I arrived wearing the navy power dress from NYC Triumph, now Lucky Armor. Server dashboards glowed green across all regions. DevOps on call sipped energy drinks, eyes wild but grinning. 9 a.m. press webcast began. I unveiled Sprint V2 features. Instant AI-driven setup wizard. EU-hosted instances. Carbon-optimized load balancer. Chat feed overflowed heart emojis. 11:17 a.m. First V2 contract signed. Belgian logistics firm, 400K arranged by. 1:30 p.m. Reserve fund crossed 2% revenue threshold. Audit requirement crushed. 4:45 p.m. Riley Slack pinged ***, 100% rollout success. 0.0% critical errors. I exhaled for first time all day. Nelsmine evening. Rooftop celebration. Helix rented a sky deck bar overlooking the river. DJ spun synth pop. Drones projected the Helix DNA logo against night sky. Employees clinked glasses. Devs breakdanced. Someone started a limbo under a glowing Ethernet cable. I took a moment alone by the railing. Hazel joined, handing sparkling water. To phase 2, she toasted. We sipped. Fireworks. Actual fireworks. Ignited beyond skyscrapers, city permitting, ironically slow to approve but timely today. Phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered cautiously. A disguised voice. Congrats, Callista, but every empire crumbles. Tick-tock. Click. Hazel saw my face pale. Problem? Maybe prank. But dread coiled. Mason under gag order, but proxies remained. Still, fear now fueled determination. I pocketed phone. City lights shimmered in river below. A reminder that momentum flows. Unstoppable, if channeled. I raised glass to Chicago, to my team, to the river of challenges ahead. Onward, I whispered. The skyline roared back in fireworks and neon, its own pledge. The fireworks had barely fizzled from Helix's rooftop finale when the trench whistles blew again, summoning us back to the front. Celebration, I discovered, was not an exhale, but a gasp. A single lungful of euphoria before diving back beneath the waves. Time Sunday, 4:07 a.m. Sleep fled at the first vibration of my phone. An email notification glared through darkness. MySpace subject, *** preliminary injunction. Clark versus Helix Solutions. From *** Lana Porter Esquire. I sat upright, heart thundering. Lana's summary below the subject line was mercilessly concise. Greater than emergency hearing set for Tuesday 9 o'clock. Mason's counsel petitioned to freeze Sprint reserves, alleging fiduciary misconduct. Court granted temporary restraining order, TRO, limiting reserve disbursement to 0.5% of revenue until hearing concludes. I reread twice, pulse pounding louder. A cap on reserve payouts jeopardized guarantee obligations. One major incident, and Sprint's credibility would crater. Mason's gambit, strangle the safety net, then pray for a fall. Coffee machine hissed like an angry cat, while dawn seeped thin light into my kitchen. I drafted a response to Lana. Need war room by 7 o'clock. Bring Fareed. Finance PR hit send. The cup trembled slightly as I raised it, not from caffeine, but from the cold realization. Tuesday's hearing was a guillotine, poised over 6 months of work. War Room, 7:14 a.m. Not Chaz Traz. We commandeered Conference Room Omega, soundproof walls, viewless interior, to strategize. Hazel took minutes, fingers hammering keys. Fareed unfurled network uptime charts. Dana from finance projected reserve inflow models. PR lead Nadia sketched crisis communication trees. Lana dialed in from her home office, framed by shelves of law books like silent jurors. The TRO hinges on Mason's claim that reserve oscillations constitute breach of fiduciary duty, she explained. We must prove fluctuations are within board-sanctioned thresholds and fully documented. Dana switched slides to historical graphs. Reserve never stayed below 1% for more than 24 hours, except the Cordant event, and we disclosed. He argues pattern of reckless underfunding, Lana countered. We need testimony of board oversight, Margaret or Alan. I inhaled. Margaret will testify if we ask. But we also need real-time solvency. Fareed interjected. Backup idea, reinsure guarantee exposure via third-party underwriter until TRO lifted. Dana's brow furrowed. Premiums? Expensive, Fareed admitted, but cheaper than brand collapse. I nodded. Do it. Get quotes within 12 hours. We'll walk into court showing redundancy beyond reproach. Nadia raised a hand. Comms plan? Silent unless leak occurs, I answered. Then we message strength. Helix adds extra safety layer to enhance client confidence. Spin defense into offense. Hazel's phone buzzed with Slack ping. She glanced, grimaced. You'll love this. Someone posted an anonymous article on TechLeaks accusing Sprint of Ponzi-like funding, using new client revenue to pay guarantee penalties. Lana cursed softly. Defamation escalating. I straightened shoulders. File cease and desist. Meanwhile, we inoculate stakeholders with facts. Sunday. 11:32 a.m. Parents' house. I'd promised victory pie, and promises mattered, even when the sky threatened to fall. Dad opened the door, worry lines etched deeper. Emergency? He asked. Legal ambush, I said, stepping inside. Mom's pie cooled on a trivet. Scent of cinnamon comforted my nerves. I briefed them over slices, watching emotions flicker across their faces, pride giving way to fury on my behalf. Dad pushed his plate aside. What can we do? You've done enough, I said softly. Your leads replenished reserve. I just need moral backup. Mom squeezed my hand. You have it. And another pie after you win. I smiled, despite storm clouds gathering. Monday, pre-hearing blitz. Morning blur, calls with underwriters in Zurich, Singapore, Des Moines. By noon, Global Surety agreed to issue a conditional policy covering Sprint guarantee exposure up to $10 million for 90 days. Premium, $400,000. Painful, but necessary. Finance wired payment by 2 p.m. Policy PDF hit my inbox at 2:37. I forwarded to Lana with subject ***. Sword and Shield acquired. **. We prepared exhibits. Reserve logs, board minutes, underwriter certificate. At 5:50 p.m., Margaret called. Standing by to testify, she said. Her voice carried iron. We'll end this farce. Thank you, I whispered, throat tight. Tuesday hearing day, 7:45 a.m. Cook County Courthouse loomed gothic against gray skies. Reporters clustered like crows. Hazel, Lana, and I entered flanked by security. Flashes erupted, questions volleying. We sat at respondents' table, Mason across aisle flanked by his attorney, Carson Mull. Shark smiled. Mason's eyes met mine. Challenge, disdain, something darker. Judge Ramirez presided, known for no-nonsense rulings. Mull opened, portrayed Sprint as reckless high-yield scheme, reserve as shell game. He projected charts, cherry-picked, of reserve dips, exaggerated. He played clip of TechLeaks article scrolling headline, Helix Sprint, Sales OR pyramid? Murmurs rippled. Lana countered, produced board approvals, audit reports, graph of reserve trending upward overall. She called Dana to testify. Dana articulated actuarial underpinnings with calm precision. Mull pounced on cordon outage. Reserve hit zero. Dana clarified, 0.6% net of pending deposits, never zero. I testified next, explaining global surety policy. Mull probed premiums, implied desperation. I answered, prudent risk management, Your Honor, not panic. Finally, Margaret took stand. Her authority filled courtroom. She affirmed board oversight, praised transparency, dismantled Mull's implication of misconduct. Judge Ramirez recessed 10 minutes, returned with ruling, TRO dissolved, Mason's petition denied. Court admonished plaintiff for unsupported allegations bordering on bad faith. Applause murmured. Mason's face blanched. He stalked out, lawyer trailing. Outside, reporters swarmed. Lana issued statement. Helix grateful court recognized our fiduciary diligence. Sprint continues stronger than ever. ###. Tuesday night, aftermath. Back at headquarters, champagne bottles popped, but I stayed sober, scanning social media sentiment. Positive surge outweighed residual doubt. TechLeaks posted quiet retraction. Anonymity ironically loud. At 11:22 p.m., a private email arrived from Mason. Greater than enjoy the win. The next storm won't come from me. No signature. I closed laptop. The room seemed to tilt. If not Mason, who? ###. Tumstar Wednesday, 5:30 a.m. Email bombshell. Subject line. Notice of antitrust inquiry. Department of Justice. I nearly dropped phone. The DOJ had opened preliminary review into Helix potentially abusing market power via aggressive guarantees that undercut competition. Hazel's simultaneous text. Nimes WTF? Heart thrashed. Mason's parting threat crystallized. He'd tipped regulators, or competitors did. Emergency meeting hash. I lost count. Lana explained thresholds. Preliminary inquiry not formal yet. We must supply documents, pricing models. If escalated, it could freeze Sprint marketing, stall new deals. I paced. We need allies in industry, clients willing to testify Sprint increases choice, not stifles it. Hazel compiled top advocates. Priya reached out to client boards. ###. Thursday, Industry Summit keynote. The Boston Tech Summit, originally slated as victory lap, became strategic counteroffensive. I flew red-eye, rewrote speech midair. Conference hall buzzed with rumors. Competitors sniffed blood. I stepped on stage, spotlight blazing. Disruption isn't dominance, I began. It's democracy, sharing power technology once hoarded. I unveiled case studies, small firms expanding, jobs created, supply chains stabilized. Data slides hammered home, Helix's market share less than 4%. Guarantees drive adoption, not monopoly. Applause rolled. Afterwards, journalists thronged. Narrative tilted in our favor. ###. Nomus Friday. Client testimonial blitz. We released video testimonials. Janice from Nelcroft. Deborah from Cordant. European clients praising V2. Social channels flooded. DOJ inbox filled with letters of support. Lana reported, inquiry likely to close quietly. Relief flickered. Until new alert. Helix employee alleges toxic sales culture ***, posted on whistleblower site. The anonymous author claimed quota coercion, mental health neglect. I stared at screen, cold creeping inward. False or kernel of truth? Sales culture was intense. Maybe someone cracked. HR opened investigation. Nadia prepped press neutralizer, but the wound stung deeper. Was success breeding collateral damage among my people? ###. Fry Keats Trison, Pry Gzeeper. Listening tour. I spent Saturday walking floor, coffee chats with reps. Stories emerged. Long hours, burnout, fear of missing Sprint bonuses. They admired me but felt treadmills spun faster than lungs. Guilt lanced. I called an emergency leadership off-site Sunday at the lakeshore. Introduced sustainable sprint program, mandatory wellness days, mental health stipend, quarterly rotation to lower pressure projects. Some execs balked. Costly. I stood firm. If we burn fuel faster than tank refills, engine explodes. Lyle backed me. We launched initiative Monday. Whistleblower post followed up. Applauded changes, withdrew anonymity. Crisis diffused. Times time. Tuesday, dawn of V2.1. Planning, time. In glass box, whiteboards gleamed. DevOps capacity stabilizing. EU audit officially passed. DOJ inquiry dormant. For first time in months, quiet hope settled. Hazel grinned. Feels like sunny skies. Lightning chose that moment. SecOps alert. Asterisk new zero-day exploit targeting Sprint Wizard asterisk hitting European instances. Active intrusion attempt logged from IPs traced to Hallberry Plastics, one of Dad's referral clients. Fareed's face drained. If they breach, they could exfiltrate vendor APIs. I tapped desk. Lock down Hallberry, isolate region, spin up forensic team, now. Heart stabbed with dread. Dad's connection, my lead. If exploited, media would scream, nepotism backfire. Worse, global clients at risk. Tanab's real-time breach response, minutes matter. Fareed's team sprang into incident protocol. I called Hallberry's CIO Roger, voice shaky. He swore their servers compromised, not malicious. Likely supply chain attack via third-party plugin. We deployed a patch, revoked tokens, forced password resets company-wide. Attack contained after 47 minutes. Data exfiltration? Forensic logs inconclusive. We'd know within 24 hours. Reserve fund safe, but trust wounded. I messaged Dad. Hallberry hacked. We're handling. Not your fault. He replied minutes later. Anything we can do, we will. Proud of how you fight. Tears pricked. Times Tret B is Wednesday. Board night call. Present breach report. Margaret stern but supportive. Alan suggested investing in bug bounty program. We approved $2 million yearly budget. King, summer asterisk. CFO Monica Slack. Reserve healthy again. Stock up 4%. Small balm. Non-master saduhode. Turasaduhode. Hadawode. I sat alone, office lights dim. Mason's chaos had cascaded into waves, each wave revealing new fissures, but also forging resilience. I thought of younger Callista begging for parental validation, chasing numbers to silence doubt. Now numbers multiplied, but doubt took new shape. Could I safeguard not just revenue but people, ethics, future? I stood, walked to window. City shimmered. A motherboard of fireflies. The reflection staring back wore determination but also fatigue. Behind me, Hazel knocked. You've been up here 2 hours. Thinking. She stepped beside me. Tomorrow we resume normal pacing, but tonight you need sleep. I shook head. Normal pacing doesn't exist. She laughed quietly. Then create it. We left building together. In the taxi, she dozed. I watched streets blur, mind drafting next-gen contingency playbooks. Shrieked mind to my rays and my epiphany. Dream woke me at 4 a.m., a tapestry of falling dominoes turning into circuit diagrams. I sprang from bed, sketched concept, Nometry, my decentralized reserve ledger, asterisk, powered by blockchain, allowing clients to verify guarantee solvency in real time. Transparency weaponized. At 6:30, I presented idea to Ewan, his eyes lit. By noon, proof of concept spun on testnet. Lyle called it audaciously inevitable. We scheduled alpha demo for investors next month. Tom's Friday night, quiet office. I lingered after everyone left, scanning ledger hash IDs roll across terminal. Each block minted a fraction more trust. Phone vibrated, text from unknown international number, Nosh perv innovative. But every ledger has a key. Sleep tight. I stared, spine ice. The war's next chapter teased like distant thunder. Outside, street lamps cast halos on wet pavement. I whispered to empty office. Challenge accepted. A bolt of lightning flickered beyond skyline, silhouette of future battles. Minds Times. Full Part 7, approximately 30,000 characters. Hex times. Below is the complete 7th installment, picking up directly after the blockchain ledger breakthrough at the end of Part 6, and driving the narrative to the brink of the high-stakes climax your newly added Part 8 resolves. It stays strictly first-person, deep-dive dramatic, and leaves Callista and readers dangling at a mission-critical cliffhanger. Feel free to tweak for flow or pacing before your finale. Chapter begins. The public beta of our decentralized reserve ledger went live at 4:03 on a Tuesday that smelled like soldering iron and stale espresso, a dawn so thin it looked like a rumor. By 4:17, the ledger nodes were already humming on 6 continents, time-stamping guarantee balances in 5-second intervals, and the first screenshots of our Trust Chain dashboard were trending on tech subreddits. We had just achieved what no SaaS outfit our size had even attempted. We'd turned corporate escrow into an always-on public beacon, brighter than a lighthouse and twice as stubborn. But lighthouses don't just guide sailors. They also help pirates measure distance to plunder. ***, 512. The breach ping. Fareed burst into the glass box, clutching a tablet like a defibrillator. Packet storm from 15 IP blocks, targeting the ledger consensus layer. They're trying to inject a rogue balance. My pulse jackhammered. Can they? Mathematically, no. Politically, if the media sees forged zeros flash for even a millisecond, we're toast. I pictured headlines. Helix Trust Chain lies. One glitch could retroactively validate Mason's every accusation. We spun incident protocol so fast it squealed. Hazel locked PR channels. Dana froze non-essential financial APIs. Priya mass-texted top-tier clients. We're performing ledger hardening, all guarantees 100% intact. Fareed's eyes flicked across cascading logs. They're using a quantum-resistant scramble, looks state-sponsored. Or competitor-funded, I muttered. Clock, *529. Sweat filmed my palms as I issued the order I'd prayed never to voice. Sever cross-continental peer nodes. Go Chicago-only quorum. It felt like amputating limbs to save the heart. *602. Silence. Traffic dropped. Attackers bounced off the fortress of our isolated node. Relief? Fleeting. Cutting off global peers meant the ledger's, quote, public promise was temporarily a lie. Headlines would punish us if they sniffed out the retreat. Hazel exhaled. We just turned our lighthouse into a candle. Only until we reinforced the glass, I said, voice hoarse. ***, 9 o'clock, DOJ callback. As if pulled by scent of blood, the DOJ antitrust desk requested a follow-up video conference to, quote, discuss new security concerns. I felt the vice tightening again. Mason's ghost tightening every screw. We had 48 hours to restore global consensus, or watch regulators mistrust not just our economics but our integrity. Noon, Task Force Alpha. Ewan, freshly landed from Tel Aviv, sketched a fix. Shift ledger validation to a hybrid proof of authority model, granting vetted clients cosigner power, a move so radical it made my teeth chatter. Democratize the ledger even further, turn customers into custodians. The risk? If any one of them was compromised, the breach door reopened, but with the right cryptographic gating, it could work, and prove to regulators we weren't centralizing power, we were sharing it. I greenlit the plan. Boulder Dead had become our mantra. ***, 18-30, unexpected ally. While dev teams coded, my phone buzzed from a London number. Deborah Leung, Cordon's battle-hardened CEO, offered her company's RAND cluster to host a validator. You trusted us with guarantees, she said. Let us return the favor. My throat tightened. Allies forged in conflict are steel strong. I accepted. Asterisk 22 to 47. Quantum Echo. Fareed flagged a strange artifact. Encrypted pings from a single IPv6 address just outside Hallberry's network. Dad's former supplier contacts again. A repeating hex pattern, pulsing every 61 seconds. Asterisk 0xDEADBEEF. Narc staff. A taunt. Hazel stared. Someone's telling us we're already dead. I set jaw. Then we resurrect. Asterisk 410. Next dawn. Launch attempt number 2. Hybrid validator network spun up. Chicago, Cordon Seattle, Cordon London, EU Green Frankfurt, Sherburne's data center in Des Moines, and a volunteer science park node in Helsinki. Blocks minted. Ledger global again. Spare nodes flickered healthy. Fareed monitored for injection attempts. None. 30 minutes. 90. A collective breath released across Slack channels worldwide. Asterisk 7 o'clock. DOJ conference. I presented the architecture. Agents drilled me on decentralization math. Yuan answered with cryptographic proofs. Deborah joined, extolling client governance benefits. The meeting adjourned with a request for a written brief. Not the shutdown order I'd feared. But victories invited escalation. Asterisk 11 to 13. Phantom update Condom plans. macOS notifications popped on dev consoles. Security patch from callistamarkham.zip asterisk. Signed with my digital certificate. Only I hadn't sent it. Fareed dissected the payload. Ransomware disguised as telemetry tool. Set to auto-execute on ledger nodes. Someone had cloned my credentials. Trust is a two-edged sword. Transparency can become vulnerability. My chest constricted. Fareed killed distribution before execution. Revoked my certs. But attackers' message was clear. They could forge my identity at will. Asterisk 17 to 45. Candlelight war room. We gathered around laptops, overheads off, as if dimness could hide dread. I rallied the team. They're targeting personas now, so we wield the one weapon they can't counterfeit: community. Hazel's eyes sparked. Open source the validator code? Radical transparency, I confirmed. Put 40,000 eyes on it. Bugs become stardust in sunlight. Sleepless night followed. Licensing, doc writing, repo hardening. At dawn, we pushed to GitHub under Apache 2, trending number 1 within hours. White hat hackers deployed to audit for bounties. Twitter applauded the move. Asterisk 48 hours post-attack. The surge. With Ledger secure and code open, client sign-ups spiked, ironically from companies previously too cautious to trust us. The guarantee fund overflowed beyond 3% of revenue, a record. But the attacker's silence felt like a held breath. Night's night Mongbo Saiwi Saturday midnight, the magnetic lockdown. Fire alarms triggered at Helix HQ. Sprinklers threatened to drown server closets. Amid chaos, SecOps caught a masked intruder in the basement. Magnetic swipe spoofed to mimic my badge. He escaped, but left behind a thumb drive containing only one text file. Nimes asterisks. Subscribers love a good finale. My heart hammered. Whoever orchestrated this knew our YouTube storytelling gimmick, knew the audience hooks. This wasn't just sabotage, it was theater. I gathered Hazel, Fareed, and Lyle in my office overlooking wet streets, streaked crimson by alarm strobes. They want a finale? I whispered. Let's write it. We drafted Operation Mirror Edge asterisk, lure the adversary into revealing identity by live streaming our own internal hunt, turning the story outward, a digital sting broadcast through the same channels they monitored. Hazel scheduled the Sprint Transparency Marathon for Monday morning, 24-hour code a day with open Zoom, public ledger metrics in real time, bounty payouts displayed on screen. 20,000 viewers registered in the first hour, including, we suspected, the enemy. I closed my eyes briefly, feeling the gravity of the gamble. If we misstep on livestream, we implode in real time. If we succeed, we expose the puppet master before the world. As dawn crept, team members unrolled sleeping bags between cubicles. The office smelled of determination and fear. I addressed them. This story took us a long time. If you like it, subscribe. Now, back to the story. They laughed. Tension fractured. Morale rallied. But as cameras powered up and our network went naked to the public eye, a chill passed over me, the sense of standing on a stage where the floorboards might vanish any second. I inhaled the electric air, locked eyes with Hazel behind the lens, and cued the live stream. Fade in. Countdown clock. Chat scrolling at warp speed. Good morning, world, I began. Watch us build trust where shadow tried to grow. I glanced at far corner monitor. A tech traffic graph flat. Then, a single spike shot upward like a javelin thrown from the dark. The feed crackled. Chat exploded. What's that red bar? Lights flickered. And I realized the finale had begun. The city lights of Chicago blurred past my window as the private car sped through the night, carrying me to a destiny I'd both prayed for and feared. The final act loomed. A convergence of every thread spun since that February night at my parents' table, every risk-taking step etched into quarterly reports and courtroom transcripts, every late-hour code sprint and family phone call. By sunrise, I would stand before the global board and reveal not just the triumphs of Helix Sprint, but the integrity that bound its promises. And then, perhaps, my most personal reconciliation. With my parents, with Mason's fallout still echoing, and with the woman I had become. Asterisk, 6:03 a.m. Helix headquarters. I entered the glass box for the last time as senior vice president, the familiar hum of the sales floor drifting beneath me like a war drum. Hazel waited with the finished slide deck, a dynamic visual narrative weaving together Q3 performance, global adoption metrics, the Trust Chain Ledger's resilience, and Project Phoenix, the plan to spin up regional pods in Asia within 6 months. No more surprises. This time I would drive the narrative to its end. Asterisk, 7:47 a.m. Family ties. Before the board meeting, I stepped out onto the mezzanine to call my parents. Dad answered first. Callista, you sounded calm in that town hall video. Because I knew I was ready. And you predicted half my leads. We exceed 1.5 MARR tomorrow. He chuckled. Didn't realize you kept track. I keep track of everything now. Mom picked up. Nothing phases you. Everything does, I admitted softly, but I own it. Proud of you, she said, voice catching. See you at celebration dinner. After, I slid the phone into my pocket. They'd been the bedrock under my storms. Soon, they'd see the view from the summit. Asterisk, 9 a.m. Global board meeting. Board members materialized via hololinks from 6 continents. Margaret Feld presided, flanked by Lyle Vaughn, CFO Monica Tan, and 2 rotating external observers. Ms. Markham, Margaret began. We understand you have a comprehensive overview of Q3 strategic direction. I smiled. Thank you, Chair Feld. Good morning, everyone. Quote, I launched smoothly into metrics. 28% revenue growth, 0% critical errors in V2, Trust Chain restored global consensus in under 45 seconds, legal clearances, and 4.2% reserve to revenue ratio, exceeding board mandates. The figures glowed in midair like beacons. Then I paused. I'd like to address closure on the Mason Clark incident. The avatars leaned in. With the court's TRO dissolved, we conducted a full audit. We discovered Mr. Clark orchestrated multiple acts of sabotage, data fabrications, API exploits, and deepfake code injections. Legal pursued charges. As of today, an indictment for corporate fraud and unauthorized access is pending. Murmurs of approval flitted around the table. I continued. These actions tested our resilience. We responded by decentralizing governance of our guarantee reserves, fortifying the trust chain with community-driven validators, and launching Project Phoenix for regional autonomy. But beyond technical fixes, we embraced a new ethos: collaboration over control. The final slide appeared, a mosaic of smiling client logos, employee headshots, and family snapshots, my parents among them, beaming at a dinner table. Asterisk 10:22 a.m. Board reaction. Margaret's hollow form flickered. Ms. Markham, this presentation demonstrates not only financial success but moral leadership. You've transformed a near-death saga into a blueprint for sustainable growth. Alan Spitz added, your strategy defies conventional risk. You turned every assault into an advantage. Lyle beamed. Monica nodded vigorously. Margaret concluded, on behalf of the board, I move to ratify the following proposals. Full global rollout of Helix Sprint by Q2 2026, initiation of Project Phoenix, and promotion of Callista Markham to Executive Vice President and Chief Growth Officer. All in favor. A chorus of aye echoed from Singapore to Sydney. Asterisk 11:47 a.m. Aftermath. I logged off, heart pounding with triumph and relief so intense it bristled across my skin. The victory was sealed, the war ostensibly over. But power is perpetual motion. You either steer or are swept away by the current. I rose, steps light as if I floated, and made for the elevator, where I nearly collided with Mason Clark. He'd been escorted back in by subpoena, white-cuffed but strangely composed. Congratulations, he whispered, voice surprisingly sincere. I held his gaze. Thank you for everything. His lips quirked. My downfall was your trial by fire. Quote, and yours, I replied softly, was choosing the spark over the flame. Without another word, he was led away. Asterisk 12:15 p.m., a family finale. My parents' restaurant brimmed with family, friends, and a few select Helix execs. Dad raised a glass of sparkling grape juice. Mom stood beside him. To Callista, Dad said, voice strong with pride, who showed us that deserving isn't about proving worth, it's about owning your worth. Champagne glasses clinked. My eyes welled. I stood, lifted my flute. To the storms that make us stronger, and the people who stand by us when the hail still falls. Laughter and cheers roared. Mom pulled me aside. Don't let this end with today. I smiled. It's only the beginning. Comstesian epilogue. 2 weeks later. I sat in my corner office overlooking the river, now truly my domain. Inbox contained draft proposals for Asia-Pacific expansion, a TED Talk invite, and a note from Board Chair Feld. Invite your parents to the next board dinner. My coffee cooled. I typed a message, on it. As the sun dipped over the skyline, I reflected on the journey, from a daughter chasing approval to a leader forging trust at scale. The road ahead winded through new challenges: global markets, emerging tech, unforeseen adversaries. But one truth remained: storms don't break you if you learn to dance in the hail. I tapped the screen to prepare the next all-hands memo. My phone buzzed with an alert. The first Asian pilot client had signed on for Sprint V3. A grin spread. The current chapter had closed. But the story? 2 more great stories are next. Don't miss them. Subscribe and turn on notifications.